Hello.
Hey.
Welcome
Thank you.
to this amazing chat that we're going to have. I'm so thrilled that we get to chat with you here today. KJD, also known as Karen Johnson Diamond.
Thank you.
Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Tell us about the time that you grew up in.
Oh, the time I grew up in. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. There was no cell phones back then, Marshall, not one. It's funny, I talk about that a lot. I talk about it a lot with young people and just go, I find myself doing that old thing where I go, you have no idea how lucky you have it. I went to summer camp and I made my best friend Darla, and then I had to wait 3 weeks for my letter to get to her, right? So I end up sounding like an old person once in a while. But I grew up in Sherwood Park outside of Edmonton on an acreage, single mom, 3 kids. I'm the middleest. And then I moved to the big city for theater school at Red Deer College.
In terms of arts in the area that you grew up in, what was it like?
My mom was in this sort of ladies group that did skits, but we weren't allowed to go see them. They were at the community hall, and one of the songs was about a chastity belt, and she didn't think we should. Right. Do you know what a chastity belt is? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was too risque at the time for us to see, so I would have been maybe under 10. I wrote a play. So there was a TV commercial at the time for Ivory Snow dishwashing liquid, and the commercial was like mom and daughter at the sink doing the dishes, whatever, and the kid goes, "Mommy, your hands are so soft." Well, that's because I do dishes in Ivory Snow. Okay, so the play I wrote, me and Cassie Stocks, is, "Mommy, your hands are so cold." That's because I do dishes in Ivory Snow. I was so proud of myself. I remember the gym was filled like it was some talent show or something, grade one. I have never forgotten that. There was no live theater in Sherwood Park, really. High school plays, I'm sure, but we didn't see them. So it would have been talent shows or something. My mom will watch this and correct me, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah. And we went to see this play. Okay. I don't know. Do you know Jan Henderson? Another fabulous woman in Edmonton she used to run a theater company. 3 people used to have this company called Small Change Theater. And it was a lot of mask work. And the show that they did was called One Beautiful Evening. And it's, I'm still can't wait to do or direct this play again. But it's little old man, little old lady in these neutral but not neutral masks. Like they had a little expression, but they were still the kind of masks where you could imagine what emotion was on them, right? She lives alone and waters her plant. He lives alone and drinks a tea. And then every night they go to bingo and they sit down at a table beside each other and are shy. And then over the course of the play, they become friends and share Lucky Charms and daub each other's bingo papers. And then in the end, I can't even remember the end, but I think she goes over and has tea with him and he might have a plant now or something. It was that simple. No words, absolutely no words, except the voiceover of the bingo caller. That's it. And that's the moment where I went, I didn't know you could do that for a job. And it's like, we talked about this actually, I think when we were doing a student matinee of a show we were in, and we were saying student matinees are like the most important shows you can do as an actor, or theater for young audience in schools, because where did we all decide? Well, most of us. Where did most of us decide to be theater artists? Because we saw some theater when we were young, right? So it really honestly was, I saw a play in high school and then I went, I have to be an actor. So I was already halfway through grade 11. And so I jammed all of my theater classes into grade 10, 11, and 12 theater into those last year and a half, to the point where I took my math 30, like the highest math, on night courses so that I could take another drama class during the day. Oh, I bombed that math course so bad, but it was worth it because I've never needed anything I learned there.
I truly share the love and desire for more TYA.
Yeah.
It's such a formidable part of
Yeah.
growing up.
Yeah.
The first time I saw a play was at my high school, and it was Frosty on the Res. Somebody adapted Frosty for the Res, and for me, I was like, "Wow, I didn't know that Frosty could make it to the Res, but he did." But such a beautiful way of like sharing
Right.
gifts and the art of theater as well.
And I still credit Jan Henderson
Yeah.
entirely. It was Robert Astle, Jan Henderson, and Jan Taylor were the people in the show, I think, and they were the people that ran that company. And then I got out of college, and Jan is a clown instructor and a mask instructor. So I took a bunch of summer workshops with her, and I was like, I'm taking a workshop from the Jan Henderson. Like she was, and still is, like just the Mecca. Is that the word I want? The Waterloo of
The goat.
the goat. She is the goat. And anyway, so I still credit her. She ended up teaching my son in theater school. She hangs out with my mom when they go to theater. She sees every single piece of theater that my mom sees. Like they're just insane. She's the reason. Yeah.
She's the reason for your love for TYA.
TYA and all theater. She's the reason I wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I decided today to wear this really beautiful jacket. Do you recognize this jacket by chance?
I recognize the jacket that you wore as a beautiful character in the soap opera, improvised soap opera, Dirty Laundry.
Ooh, yes. Calgary's longest running long form improvised soap opera. Yeah. So the season that I did for Dirty Laundry would have been camp. We went to camp. I believe it was Camp Tang.
Yeah.
Where I played Ernestina, who goes to camp, which was such a wild experience. I've learned so much from you as an improviser. I honestly do credit you for, I think, the courage to do improv. Like, as I said earlier, I'm so shy. And I'll let you talk about this, but the approach that you take to improv is all about making the other person look good. And I know that there are folks that have imparted that onto you as well, but it super vibed with me, this idea of making the other person look good. Tell us more about improv.
I didn't do any improv training because really the only improv training you can have is to do it. Like just get up in front of people and make some stuff up and whatever. But in high school, right after I discovered acting, I discovered theater sports, and it was Theater Network in Edmonton that was running it, Stephen Heatley, and it was, go there and Friday and Saturday nights and get, a team of 3 or 4. And theater sports was an improvisational game format. So your team has to do a scene and my team has to do a scene, and then we get voted on who's the best one. We get points or whatever. And sometimes the theme was, in your scene, you have to talk about a Coke can, or in your scene, you can only use the letter S or whatever. But they were what we called short form scenes. And so I did that for a number of years, and I loved it. And then there's a company in Edmonton called Dynasty, and they were an improv soap opera, and they were in their 2nd or 3rd year, I think, when I got out of college and I was living in Edmonton, and they asked me to come guest, and it was a long form story. We do the same story for 25 weeks over the year. Every single Monday night, we're going to tell this same story. You pick a character and you just play that, and you make it all up as you go along, and whatever happened this week picks up here, whatever. And I could not have loved it more. And the reason I think I love it I think the reason you clicked so well with it as an actor is there's something about being an actor first and improviser second, because we have learned to just listen and respond as an actor, right? We've learned to play for some objective that we would like to get as an actor. We've learned empathy and sympathy. We've learned listening, right? So I just loved it. So then I moved to Calgary, and my dear friend Eleanor Holt and I, who had both guested at some point with Dynasty up in Edmonton, went, we want to do that here. So we called Jeff Haslam, who was running it at the time at Edmonton, and went, what if we started it in Calgary? And we, they were the only ones at the time that we knew were doing it, and they were pretty famous then. They were probably 9 or 10 years in at that time, and we were like, what if we And we worried that they would go, it's our thing, right? And Jeff goes, here's all the mistakes we made on a silver platter. Don't make these, have fun. And that's the one thing he said is have fun. If you are not having fun on stage, the audience isn't having fun. And it has to be something that you want to do for fun, like bowling night, like accountants go bowling for fun. You have to do, because it's like your real job, right? So it's got to feel different, and you have to have fun. And so a bunch of us got it started in 1999, and I produced it for 19 years. And I miss it like crazy because it lost in the great pause. But I ended up teaching it a lot, and basically just teaching, for me, the kind of way I liked working with the Dynasty Gang or the Dirty Laundry Gang. So I liked storytelling. I liked making plot move forward. I liked surprising people. I liked losing, like all of a sudden your character's this way, and then all of a sudden your character's divorced, and you have to lose. You can't just spend the whole time fighting for something. So I teach a lot. I teach a lot at community level, high school level, and I love the teaching because everyone says what you say, which is I could never improvise. I could never improvise. And you can. You just have to be given the okay to do it and the okay to fail miserably at it.
People feel like they can't do it until they are told that they can.
Yeah.
So much in the world that we feel like we can't do, but we're just waiting for somebody to give us permission to do it.
Right?
And that's what improv is.
I'd like
for
to
me.
try a little brain surgery sometime. I just need someone to give me a scalpel.
I have one in my car, and it's yours.
See, that's improv right there. I need this. I have it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's in my car.
If you embrace the idea, everyone likes you, and the person whose idea you embraced. I use this example a lot when I'm teaching. I was on stage with Mark Muir in Edmonton, and I had at the time I was just like, I have got no ideas. What I don't know. And I walked on stage and I said something like potato or paper bag. It was an absolute bland offer. And Mark Muir was like, you have a potato? There's a potato? And he turned that scene into the most fun, amazing scene ever, just by deciding my idea was the best thing that ever happened. So I just thought, you know what? We would have gone through the great pause way easier, all of us, if we just thought about what other people needed. That is probably the thing I try to live by the most. I'm not going to look for what's wrong. I'm going to look for what's right.
Yeah. What works? Quite recently, this past summer, I got the chance to teach at Arts Trek alongside Jeffrey Simon Brown, where we did World of the Play. And I know that Arts Trek is a huge part of who you are as well.
It is. I remember in high school, my good friends Wes and Joe would come back from the summer and be all like, oh, Arts Trek. And I was aware of it. And I was just like, what's some summer camp? Okay. And then I got a call in, I don't know, 2011, maybe? I think, what year is it now? 2012, something like that, from Marie Janine Willis, who was the executive director at the time of Theatre Alberta. And she said, would you come teach at this Arts Trek thing? And I went, oh, I don't know about teach. I can't teach. I don't teach. I mean, I taught workshops and stuff, but I don't teach. And she said, have you been doing artist in residencies with Quest for so many years? And I went, yeah, with Quest Theatre, I do a lot of teaching. You're right. Okay, I'll try it. There's 42 kids in each class, 42. And I'm like, and we're team teaching. So I'm learning with Karen Gertson and Karen Towsley and Kevin McKendrick. And I just learned how to teach there. Truly, I did. But the difference between teaching at school and teaching at Arts Trek was that at school, not everybody wanted to be there. And at Arts Trek, it's 200 kids that just need to be in an arts community. I don't know if they want to be actors, I don't know, but they are themselves and they need to be with others that are them. Anyway, so I spent the whole summer teaching and I was exhausted and I was like, I'm never doing this again. I missed my whole summer. I'm exhausted. It was so hot. There was tornado warnings. Blah, blah, blah. We finished, and 2 days after we got home, I went, I have to do that again. The thing that inspired me most on the first year I taught is I was teaching this class, and there was two young men in this class, and one of them was crying in class. And the other fella said to him, "Are you okay?" And he went, "No, my boyfriend broke up with me last night." And 4 other guys around him went, "I'm so sorry," and hugged him. And for me, I'd never seen acceptance like that, ever. And I just went, this is such a great place. Like, just, no, you could walk around eating toast and banging on a pot, and people would think you were the best thing ever. I don't know what it is. You're not faking it when you're there. The teenagers just love each other. So now when I teach teenagers, I'm just like, there's nothing better than standing in a room with 20 to 40 teenagers. I do this exercise when I'm teaching all the time, where all they can do is compliment each other. And it's my favorite thing, because it's just them loving each other, right? And if that were the way we all did it, there would be no hatred. I feel like I could solve world peace with that one game.
Karen from Air.
Anyway, so yeah, I taught there for 5 years. And then Marie said, "Karen, we have to take a break on you for a year. We don't want to," because kids can go for 6 years, 13 to 18. And we don't want them to have the same teachers every year. And 5 is longer than we normally have someone. So we have to take a break. And I was like, okay. And then that summer I was like, oh, it's so sad. Then she called me that summer and said, "We're looking for a new administrative director." And I went, no, I'm a teacher. I want to talk to the kids. I'm a teacher. And she went, "I don't know, because you're also a mom." And oh, and by this time I'd forced my kid through the program as well. And when I say forced, I mean, I said, "I don't care." He goes, "I don't know if I want to be an actor." I'm like, "I don't care. You just have to go to this place." And he went for 6 solid years, and he was a supervisor. He was great. But when she offered me the administrative job, I have no administrative skills. I probably still don't. I have the ones that I learned there. So I learned how to administrate through Marie Janine Willis at ArtsTrek. And I had just as much interaction with the kids, different kinds of interactions. But yeah, so then I was the administrative director for 10 years. And so last year was my first year not doing it in 15 years. And I thought I was going to fall apart, but then I was helping my son and a bunch of young people on a film. And I was like, oh, it's just like ArtsTrek, except, I don't have a dorm bed. I want to go back and teach. Yeah. I'm really hoping I get to go back and do that. But I tell everybody, every student I talk to, you must go to ArtsTrek.
We know that we've just shared this amazing career that you've had, and there's so many treats that you've given so many folks, including myself.
Oh, you're sweet.
What advice would you give these up-and-coming artists?
I get asked this a lot, and I pretty much always say the same few things. Because I married a financial planner, my first advice is start your RRSP now. Always. Because you're thinking about being a performer, you're thinking about going into the arts, and somebody in your life is going, no, you'll never make any money. And you don't have an RRSP when you're an actor. You got to build it yourself, right? So if you want a retirement savings plan, build it yourself. So I always say, start it now. Take your babysitting money, go to the bank, open your RSP, and then you've already proven to the naysayers that, no, you're already thinking ahead, right? You're already taking care of your future, right? That's the first thing I say. It sounds ridiculous. The second thing I say is it doesn't all have to be on stage. So you come out of theater school, and I've done hosting at corporate gigs. I've done murder mysteries. I've taught at so many different levels, clowning or whatever. I've hosted award shows. There's a program at our hospital in Calgary where you can be a standardized patient. You pretend to be a patient so the doctors can learn how to, there's not a thing in my life where my acting training doesn't help me in some way. I think because of improv, I can think of 17 different ways to solve a problem. And some of them are dumb, but I still can go, but what if so it doesn't always have to be on stage. Thirdly, if there's naysayers in your life, in your world, and they don't want you to go to theater school, don't want you to be an artist, you have all the time in the world. You can explore something and then explore art, right? And it's not always a bad decision to take your business degree and I wish I had art degree, right? But it's there's time to do two things. You don't have to hurry. And the fourth thing I say is find a thing that you love as much as your art, because when you can't do your art, it's hard. And that's something the great pause took, like it was the great pause that made me go, oh yeah, not just my job. There will be times when you supplement, and you should supplement. You have to take care of yourself. If you're just hungry and desperate, every time you walk into an audition, you're going to look hungry and desperate. Why not get a job where you can buy some groceries, and then when you go into the job, if you don't get it, you can still eat, right? There's a lot of artists that go, oh no, I refuse to work outside. It means I'm not an actor. No, if I'm doing this, I'm not an actor. And I'm like, bull crap. See how I did there? I work with young people a lot. I didn't swear. That's my 5 biggest pieces of advice.
And to that, I say, where were you 10 years ago?
Ah,
When I needed to hear every single piece of that advice.
sorry.
Karen, it's been such a treat getting to sit down with you and chat about just your lifelong career, but just who you are as a person. It's such a treat. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I love talking about the art. I love hearing that. I love that you're teaching now. Just makes me so happy. I love getting to know more about you. It's fantastic.
We'll see you very soon.
Okay. You know me as KJD, or Karen Johnson Diamond, or as some people in the theater community call me, Karen Johnson Diamond, Cork, Phillip, McMaster, Smith, Stein, Burton, Taylor, Fatensky, Black and Decker, Laverne, and Shirley. Because when I got married, I added another name, and I added another, so people are just making fun of me. But I like to put all of those after my name. Give me your full name and anything you'd like to put after it.
My name is Mikaela Ahamed, Queen of Liminality. I don't really have a lot of other titles. So I think Queen of Liminality works well.
Okay, and explain that.
So
Please.
liminality is like the concept of things being impermanent. So like hallways and stairs and things that you never really settle down and stay in, but you always move through. And the reason I like liminality so much is because basically theater is full of liminality, because you never do a show for your entire life. You never settle down to do a show. You're always moving through it and going to the next thing. And it's really, really cool.
Okay. I have some short, quick-fire questions for you as an artist.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get like super deep. So get prepared.
Mm-hmm.
My first question is cereal a soup? What's your opinion?
I think it is.
Okay, great. I agree. I agree. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Okay. Favorite Neil Diamond song?
Sweet Caroline?
It's okay if it's sweet. I ask everybody that, and really you're one of the few people that could actually answer the question. We met at your high school.
Yep.
Which school?
Foundations for the Future Charter Academy, North High School campus.
And you had 2 different theater instructors there. What is it that those 2 have given to you as instructors?
For Miss Orchard, it was just gratitude. She always says infinite love and gratitude.
Yep.
It's like her whole thing is showing gratitude and making sure people feel appreciated and taken care of so that they can be their best selves, which I know you teach a lot about in improv, making sure that other people are looking good. And Miss Orchard is just in general a really, really cool person, because she does teaching, she does singing, she does gigs, she knows how to play piano, she does a whole lot of stuff, and she's just really, really interesting, and I look up to her quite a lot.
Me too.
Yeah. Mr. Stockton, he does a bunch of theater stuff, and he came in to teach theater even though he doesn't normally teach theater. And Whereas Miss Orchard, I got all of the happy fun time vibes. Mr. Stockton, I still got like cared and accepted, but it was a lot more mirroring the professional artistic world.
Sure.
There was a lot of stressing and deadlines and making sure things were good and running around and doing things that I wasn't familiar with. But I don't say that in a bad way. It was still a really fun experience.
Well, yeah, this idea of you always, like, you get a million instructors and you take what's great from each one and
Yeah.
then you put it in your pocket and then you instruct out of that pocket and people take what they want. Okay, now the deep, deep question.
Mhm.
How is it that you are so confident?
So part of it is that I grew up with a twin brother.
Okay.
And growing up with a twin brother, you tend to be extremely silly and goofy all of the time. And because you have that like one-on-one relationship, you never worry about how other people feel because you know that the twin will always view you as
Yeah.
good no matter what you do. Other part of it is just the biggest piece of advice that I ever heard from like an early age when doing theater is the sillier you look, the better you're doing it. And so if I ever feel silly on stage, then I know I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
And I never have to worry about how the audience judges me or how anyone judges me, because if I feel good doing it, then that's all that matters.
And I think you take that into your whole life.
Yeah.
Like, if I feel good, then I don't care.
Yeah.
And I feel like I spent so much of my young years as an artist worrying about what everybody else thought. So I'm just kind of wish I could be you when I grow down. Is that a phrase?
I don't know.
So we met because I taught improv.
Yeah.
At your school. What does improv mean to you? Because for me, and I'm going to just say this, you're a really good improviser. You have a really good improv brain.
Mm-hmm.
Am I imagining that, or do you know you're good at it? That's my question.
If you know what you're doing, and even if you don't know what you're doing, as long as you make sure that you're having fun and helping others, then it'll go great.
Oh, good.
We have a responsibility to make it so that everybody can experience it in a non-judgmental space. Yeah.
What does it mean for you, community?
Community to me means less just like a bunch of people existing together, but a bunch of people caring for each other, which may sound kind of cheesy, but that's what I believe. A community is a bunch of people who hold similar values and are working together towards a goal, whether it be making a piece of theater or just making each other's lives better. Yeah.
So good. If you had a piece of advice for an actor younger than you, or 2 or 7, what would it be?
Just do it. It doesn't matter if you're quote unquote bad at it. Art is subjective. I know that modern art, somebody can tape a banana to a wall and it can be really profound. So even if you're not the best at what you want to do, if you keep working at it, eventually you will be.
So a couple more wrap up. I would like to, so a couple more questions before I let you go. If you had a big neon sign floating above your head with big lights going around it all the time, every day, what does that sign say?
Probably infinite love and gratitude.
Right.
Just as a reminder for everyone who sees it.
So true. Okay, final question. Is a ring pop a food?
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've so enjoyed talking to you.
I've enjoyed this too.
I enjoy spending time with you, and I can't wait till we improvise together.